They talk about women. I think suburban women like me a lot. You know, it's fake stuff. Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? He says, I'm joined by Anita Dunn, now working with Future Forward, former senior advisor to President Biden. Welcome to the show, Anita.
Well, thank you for having me.
Have you ever seen a meltdown like that before?
You know, it's pretty stunning what has been going on over the last 3 weeks. I think the AI crowd thing is just the latest iteration of a candidate who has no clue what to do and is kind of melting down in front of the entire country. So it's it's interesting. It's interesting that he still has as much support as he has. But why wouldn't women want to support him? I'm not sure you have enough time on your broadcast to really answer that question.
Well, I mean, you've been in politics your whole life, so you've seen bad candidates. But this is something different when it comes to Donald Trump. I mean, when he starts posting, this is what he's posting. Let me show you this one. This is what he posted about Kamala Harris. And he did like 27 posts, including reposting QAnon stuff. But in this one, he superimposes Vice President Kamala Harris's face on a dung beetle, and it says, "Are you buying our bullshit?" And he reposts this thing. There's so many things wrong with this. It's racist. It's misogynistic. It's horrible. But the fact that he's posting 27 things like this in the course of an hour, and it really doesn't get corporate media attention at all. I mean, he's posting photos of himself like dressed as like a cowboy. He's posting QAnon messages. I mean, this deserves more attention than it's. I mean, we focus our network to it. That's why our network's growing. But this stuff needs more attention. What do you think?
Well, it absolutely needs more attention. And let's be honest, he's been doing this unhinged stuff now since 2020. And it doesn't get as much attention. People say, oh, it's kind of baked in for voters. It isn't baked in for voters. Voters just don't see it because it gets ignored or kind of glossed over as, oh, that's just Trump being Trump. It's not Trump being Trump. We haven't seen a major party candidate behave this way in any of our lifetimes. And I'm not sure if we go through the history books, we're going to find anyone even close to this. So, one of the things that I found very interesting over the weekend is that he's thrown in the towel and agreed to debate the vice president, agreed to debate Kamala Harris. That should be one for the ages, because if you go back and you look at his debate performance against Joe Biden in June, it was pretty unhinged. People didn't pay as much attention to it, but it was a bad performance. Look at his convention speech. It was a bad convention speech. And then look at his behavior over the last 3 weeks since Kamala Harris became the Democratic Party's nominee. And he has, if anything, deteriorated. So it doesn't get enough attention. It should get attention because one political party has put this person up as their nominee for the president of the United States.
So Donald Trump sent J.D. Vance, who's got lots of nicknames. I prefer calling him Shady Vance, to do this media tour over the weekend. And one of the lines that Shady Vance was talking about was he was accusing Democrats of engaging in name calling and schoolyard bullying. And he was saying that that was very upsetting to the Republican Party, and that the Democrats need to stop this bullying. What do you say to that?
Oh, there's so many things you can say to that, right? You can say, I'm rubber, you're glue. You can say, if you want to go to the schoolyard level, right? You can say, look in the mirror. But it is, again, a sign of their desperation. They have no idea how to run against Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And they're finding themselves on the way wrong end of the change equation here. This is a change electorate. 75% of the people in this country think that we're off on the wrong track. Now, they think so for different reasons. But the one thing that has been clear since the beginning of this election is that it's a change electorate and that people want something different from what they think they have right now. And they are frantically trying to figure out how do they regain that mantle, and how do they run against Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And let me tell you something, it's not easy. She is a strong candidate who has run a flawless campaign for 3 weeks. And I think Tim Walz's introduction to the American people could not have been better. I mean, he is he is what he appears to be. And that is actually the biggest problem JD Vance has with him, right? Is JD Vance has never been what he likes to portray himself as.
And that's the thing. I mean, you go back to JD Vance's history and he's created, he has 3 different names. He's had about 4 different identities. He grew up and told people that he was gay. And then his grandma told him that you can't be gay. So then he became anti-LGBTQ. Then he became the hillbilly who was anti-Trump. And then he became, the pro-Trump, whatever Trump says, I'll kiss your ass. And the thing is that I think we would have fought for JD Vance's rights to be who he wanted to be, yet he's spending his time taking away the rights as people. So when I show photos like this of JD Vance from his days in Yale, and I think, these new photos have popped up, where he's cross-dressing, and there's another one today of him cross-dressing. Like, we would have fought to, you could be who you want to be, JD, but why are you mocking Americans for living their lives of who they are?
No, not only would we fight for JD Vance, but we fight for all of the JD Vances across this country who feel like they can't be who they really want to be because of whatever sort of societal constraints or family constraints or whatever. That if there's one huge difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, it's a sense of America as a land of opportunity for everyone to be who they are and to move ahead and to move forward as who you are, and not to have to pretend to be something else in order to be successful. Vance is very interesting to me. He's 39 years old, been in elective office for 18 months, hasn't gotten anything done. Is basically, as you point out, has self-invented himself several times. No one has questioned whether he is qualified to be president of the United States. It used to be somebody picked a vice president, you questioned their qualifications. I mean, you're not questioning Tim Walz's because he's eminently qualified to be president of the United States. But think for a moment about the standards we now apply because he's Donald Trump's choice and a Republican Party that's given up all pretense of caring about any of these things.
Right. There was that moment where Donald Trump was even asked about, hey, do you think that JD Vance is ready, if he was called upon? And Trump's response was, it doesn't matter. Vice presidents don't matter. That was Trump's response to the most basic question about why you pick your VP. I thought that was a stunning moment. What do you think?
It's a stunning moment, but it tells you all you need to know about what Donald Trump is about and what, frankly, his MAGA extremists are all about. They don't care. They want to go get power, and then they want to use power to strip people of their rights, to strip people of their freedoms, and to enrich the people who are supporting their efforts. And it is going to be the clearest contrast in this general election that you can possibly draw. And it's why I think you're seeing the polls move. And listen, I'm not going to pretend there isn't a hard race ahead of us. It is a very difficult race. It is going to be a battle every day. No one should be sitting back and saying, oh, we've got this one, or, oh, it's going to be easy. It's going to be damn hard. Okay. But what is clear is that the choices that the American people are going to be asked to make are going to be as well defined as any choices have been in any of our lifetime.
So tell us, what do you expect to see next? Do you think Donald Trump's meltdown continues to accelerate? Do you think, I thought I saw Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign put out a statement today saying that Donald Trump is taking his August recess. Does he go back? What do you expect to happen? It's such unusual times for this political environment right now.
Well, listen, the Harris campaign is heading into a convention that I think is going to be an extraordinary convention for them. And she's going to come out of it. That ticket's going to come out of this convention leading Donald Trump. And that is making him crazy. It's already more crazier, perhaps I should say. But that is already sort of a dynamic that is out there. Everybody usually gets a bump out of their conventions. She's going to get quite the bump out of the American people, seeing not just a united, excited party behind her, but about her message of moving this country forward. I think she very deliberately, in in everything she does is talking about moving forward, not going back, and delineating what that means. But that is going to be a powerful message for the American people, this sense of moving past the past, moving forward into a future. And it's one of the reasons why I think what you will be seeing over the next couple of weeks will be this kind of escalation of rhetoric from the other side. Again, let's go back to basics. They haven't figured out how to run against her. They kind of have gone to their old playbook, identity and, going to, some arguments based on who she is. And that isn't working the way they think it should be working. So they have to come up with something else, and God only knows what that will be. But I think what you'll see is an escalation of Trump and Vance, Vance being out there on more mainstream outlets, and Trump, who I guess is doing an interview on X today, going increasingly towards his kind of home field advantage media outlets and escalating his attacks, very personal attacks on her, very personal attacks on Waltz that aren't landing. And that's the important thing here. They're not landing, and he doesn't know what to do.
Remember, was it 15 years ago, the big Christmas gift was Furbies? And remember, they would speak in their own Furby language to each other. Like the Donald Trump Elon Musk interview is going to be some like weirdo Furbies kind of talking to each other. It's going to be something to watch. And no offense to those who had Furbies, these are racist, misogynistic Furbies that I'm talking about here. Well, Anita, we appreciate your time. I want you to come back on as much as possible. Give us updates. You want to tell us briefly about some of the work you're doing now?
Well, I'm going to be doing some work with Future Forward, which is the largest super PAC and primary super PAC supporting the Harris-Waltz campaign, and also supporting Democrats across the country. Listen, we have a big job ahead of us in November. We have to win the presidency, but we also need to take back the House, and we need to hold the Senate. And that is not going to be easy. So it's just a lot of work, and I would love to come back as often as you'll have me.
Well, we'd love to have you back as a frequent guest. Keep giving us updates. Anita Dunn, thanks as always for joining us.
Thank you.
Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers this month. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.